Excessive use of force and the need for accountability. On November 19, 2012, I was assaulted by multiple guards working under the Correctional Services of Canada, also known as CSC. The attack on me was unprovoked and vicious. The initial excessive assault took place in less than a 3-minute time span. There was no de-escalation tactics deployed, as you can clearly see from the first 4 minutes of the video. I sincerely believe the reason there was no conflict resolution attempted or de-escalation tactics deployed was because I posed no threat to anyone, and this was a pre-planned assault. I have decided to come forward due in part to continued mistreatment and pressure from CSC staff that has assured me that they will never change their systemically racist tendencies. So, for this reason, but not limited to, I have decided to raise awareness about some injustices that are affecting some inmates on a daily. I am shedding light on these situations with wishful optimism that someday systemic change will come. I understand that I may be subjected to backlash and or further inhumane treatment for releasing these facts, but enough is enough. I'd rather be remembered as a man standing up for himself and what's right than a coward cowering down to an oppressive system. In the past, I would not have even considered laying charges against guards, or anybody for that matter. However, my days of letting those who are there to serve and protect continue to evade their own system of justice is a thing of the past. At times I reflect on all the times as a youth I witnessed police beat people from my neighborhood, including myself, to a bloody pulp and arrest them afterward, or all the times I witnessed prison guards pummeling inmates, including myself, unconscious, and on a few of those occasions those beatings led to civilian or inmate death. I realize now I was essentially enabling them by not speaking up. No longer. I am cognizant of the fact that CSC is infamous for trumping up charges on inmates they don't like, which can ultimately lead to security hikes from minimum to medium to maximum to supermax. After the excessive use of force took place, I filed multiple inmate grievances. The respondent to my third-level inmate grievance at the time was Miss Ann Kelly, who at the time held the title of Senior Deputy Commissioner. Ann Kelly has since been promoted to the Commissioner of the Correctional Services of Canada. The fact still remains that 97.7% of inmate grievances are rejected or denied, regardless of their severity. I am inclined to believe that the sole reason behind Ann Kelly upholding my third-level inmate grievance was the fact that she felt compelled, in light of the correctional investigator's finding that CSC used excessive force on me, in order for her to rule in my favor. However, even though she upheld my grievance, she took it upon herself to place blame on me for alleged bad behavior by stating in her response to my grievance, and I quote, "Please note that the decision to uphold this grievance applies only to the use of force, physical handling, and does not absolve you of the behavior that led to the incident," end quote. This was a direct quote from the third-level grievance response regarding the excessive use of force dated May 24, 2013, and signed by Ann Kelly. To date, I remain oblivious to the so-called behavior Ann Kelly was alluding to. For this reason, I found myself wondering, if this was her mentality back in 2012/13, how was it that she was able to be promoted to the highest level in corrections? You be the judge. But I must say, power mixed with impunity and no accountability leads to disaster, and that's a fact. Throughout the pandemic, the Commissioner has been addressing the inmate population on a bi-weekly basis. Ann Kelly titles her addresses to the inmates as, quote, "Message from the Commissioner," end quote. Every time I read those messages, I cringe. I can't help but ruminate on who she is portraying versus who I believe she truly is. Her messages sometimes address racism, unfair treatment of inmates, and systemic issues. The problem I have with her messages regarding the above topics is the fact that I have made many attempts to address racial profiling, discrimination, and a long list of systemic issues with her and her colleagues, to no avail. In fact, I even instructed one of my past carceral lawyers to write a letter directly to her addressing a litany of systemic issues I was facing. Not to my surprise, she redirected my letter to one of her subordinates. In my humble opinion, this exemplifies just how insensitive she is to black people and our concerns. Yet she is so quick to use black people's struggles as a talking point in her messaging to the public. When I read her message dated June 5th, 2020, I couldn't help but shake my head. She explained in her June 5th address how CSC is doing everything to, quote, ensure a safer future by listening to what the black and racialized inmates have to say and using those conversations to build a more inclusive future, end quote. This I thought was truly hilarious. Here is a person of power, privilege, and influence pretending to care. And when she had a real opportunity to enact change, at least with regards to my situation, she was extremely dismissive and frankly insensitive and rude. Ever since the assault I experienced in November 2012, I suffered periodic nightmares and major post-traumatic experiences. Where was all that inclusivity Ann Kelly is alluding to now, back then? Instead, Ann Kelly blamed me for having done something to the 20-plus guards that warranted them pepper spraying me, viciously punching me, kicking and choking me until I was unconscious. The guards used on me a headlock maneuver that has been abolished for CSCU since 1999. In her response, Ann Kelly also stated, quote, corrective action is not found to be necessary as it has already been taken as noted above, end quote. I was not privy to this alleged corrective action, and to literally add insult to injury, subsequent to me being assaulted, all the guards that took part in assaulting me remained at work, to the best of my knowledge, and some would even call me names, threaten me, deny me showers, phone calls, and meals when they saw fit. All this was taking place as I was being housed in administrative segregation, 23-hour lockup per day. It was clear to me that the guards were only emboldened after attacking me. They even institutionally charged me, fined me $20, and suspended my visits indefinitely. All this after they wrongly assaulted me. I guess this was the corrective action Ann Kelly was alluding to. I am aware that this statement may have far-reaching implications and have a profound effect on my day-to-day life in prison. I just feel as though I don't have many other options at this point. I'm made to feel like a caged animal on a daily basis, poked and irritated. I have had my dignity beat out of me by CSC guards, and yet I remain standing strong, with my head held high. For me as a black man, I constantly ask myself, when will the punishment stop in order to give way to the healing and rehabilitation I was promised? I implore others to come forward and share their stories of maltreatment as incarcerated men and women in federal and provincial institutions. Don't be ashamed. Find the courage to bring forth what is being done in the darkness and confines of Canadian prisons to the light. If we fail to do so, those that have been abusing us will continue their onslaught on us and many others to come. Freedom is a must, but essentially a state of mind. Sincerely, Christophe Lewis.